This is Thomas J. Seaborn Photography. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I took this lackluster color image and turned it into a pretty impressive black and white with Photoshop. So the first thing we always do is we open up our RAW files to process in Adobe Camera Raw. Just quickly, I'm going to fix the horizon because it's going to drive me nuts if I got to look at during this entire video. So there we go. I always like to bump up a little bit of clarity and contrast in Adobe Camera Raw. The white balance is a little bit off, but it does not matter all that much if we're going to convert something to black and white. It is a good idea though if you're going to be going for that nice dark sky with the white clouds to make that sky as blue as possible. So actually what we'll do is we'll go in here and we'll saturate our blues and our aquas to really get that color to come through. So that's all I'm going to do in Adobe Camera Raw. I like to use Photoshop's black and white conversion just because it's more powerful. Everything else looks good in this image. There might be a little spot up here, but whatever. This is about how to make a black and white image pop. So let's open our image. My computer is very slow today. Okay, the first thing I always do in making any sort of adjustment to my image is just make a fresh layer, so if I make a mistake or do something that I don't like, it's really easy to go back and correct. So to convert this to a black and white image in Photoshop CS6, we're going to go to the image drop down menu and we're going to go to black and white. So here is our basic black and white image. Sorry, this was off screen. Let's bring this down here. So our image looks okay. It's definitely lacking contrast, which we will fix. So what I want to do is adjust the most dominant color first. In this image, the most dominant color is the blue. So let's go ahead and drop down our blues. What you want to avoid happening is having a real quick transition or hard transition between the sky's colors here where it's almost pitch black and then more of a neutral gray. So I'm going to pull back my blue just a little bit, lighten it up so it's a smoother transition. Then I'm going to drop our cyan color down, and it's having a huge impact too, so I'm going to not make it quite as dramatic. The next thing I'm going to adjust is going to be the yellow because the sand is going to be more of a yellowy red color. I think we want to brighten the sand so it more closely resembles the white of the cloud. So we're just going to move those yellow percentages up until the tone in the sand and the clouds are getting closer. Next we'll hit the red. I don't think it's going to make any major adjustments, but it's always fun to play around and see where it affects your image. So the red, actually there is a lot of red in the sand and on the lifeguard tower itself. We don't want to blow this out and lose the detail in the sand, so I'm going to leave that right there. Green, there's not going to be a ton of green in this image, but let's see what happens. Almost nothing, so I'm going to double click that and put it back to where it was. Last is the magenta. The only thing I see moving is that ugly little pole there by the lifeguard tower. If you wanted to, you could put a tint to this image and play around with the saturation of that tint. I typically don't prefer a tint, but this might look kind of cool with a little bit of blue maybe. No, whatever, we're not going to do that. So I'm actually not that happy. It's looking a little gritty through this area, so I think we want to just push these blues back just a little bit. Okay, so now we can kind of see our before and after with kind of basic boring image into something that's much better. So the next thing I like to do is adjust the contrast and take our black point and our white point and just kind of pinch those together to where the white's going to meet the histogram here, so we can get a nice pure white without blowing out the highlights. Same will do for the blacks. See how it's kind of getting wavy right here, where there's almost like a gradient you can see? I don't want that, so I'm not going to move that actually. But let's play with the curve just a little bit, because I still want to drop down those dark spots just a little bit. So let's take a look at before and the after on our curves. So that's the after and the before. I think the after is definitely better. And there is one more quick adjustment I want to make to this image to make it just that much better. I don't think what's going on the right side of this image is that worthwhile. I think it's taking away from our composition. So let's convert this to a square. I'm going to go just to the left of that ugly little pole, which is kind of nice because it keeps this other lifeguard tower and the far smokestack there to the right there. So let me see what we need to reduce this top to. We got 14, almost 15 inches up here, 13, so we still need to crop a little bit more. So let's move this until we get to 13. This was what? Just right at 13. Close enough for jazz. And there we go. So that's our finished image. Well, it's not finished. I would run a sharpening profile before printing it. But let's go back to Bridge real quick so you can see the before and the after. After is much better. Thanks for checking out my video. This is Thomas J. Seaborn.